Hello everybody, my name is Alan from Sauber-Lab and today the video will be about this. You guys can listen to this noise. I hope that you guys can listen to this terrible noise. But basically, it's a Raspberry Pi with a fan in the case. Why this fan in the case? Because once that you start to use your Raspberry Pi and you start to do lots of applications, you start to go in a situation that your Raspberry Pi starts to overheat really easy. And once that they start to overheat, you start to lose performance and short the life of the dispositive. So the best option is to place some fan. Let me take off it. Best option is to take some fan and put here. In this way, when your Raspberry Pi starts to use more your CPU or any component here, they will dissipate for this aluminum heatsink, and from this aluminum heatsink, they will dissipate passively through the air all the hot temperature, and it's really good. But why we need to leave it on all the time? If the Raspberry Pi is 30 degrees, we need to have a fan, need to reduce. If the Raspberry Pi it's not use any load at all and the temperature is really low, why cannot use only the passive option? So you don't need to have the fan on. In this video we're gonna show how you can set this fan to turn on only when you want. You can define some temperature. Suppose that you want that after 55 degrees they will turn on the fan, and when drop below 48 degrees they will turn off the fan. So in this way you don't need to worry that this fan will be always working when you don't need it. So if you like this idea and want to learn a little bit more about it, we're gonna show in this video, but first of all, don't forget to leave your like, subscribe for the channel, and let's do it. Before I start to go for any installation, any setup, let's explain what you're gonna need. First thing that we're gonna need is a Raspberry Pi, because otherwise why you gonna call down only nothing. So you need to have a Raspberry Pi, and as well you need to have a fan. The transistor that you're gonna need is NPN, and the module that you're gonna use is the 2N2222. So this one, how it's work? They work with neutral, positive, neutral. It means that the trigger for this transistor will be a positive. This reason that you're gonna connect it to the port 21. If you don't want to connect in the port 21, yes, you can connect in others ones, but you need to change your configuration to be able to configure others temperature or configure other setup. Have this one in mind. Now what we need to do? We need to get my 5 volts and come here all through my fan. Then the second connection that we're gonna need, it's the ground or the neutral that will go directly for the transistor, and the output from the transistor will go for our fan. And the last, to trigger our system, our transistor, we'll need to go to port 21. But before we go for the port 21, we need to put a resistance. Why? We don't want that all the 5 volts come here. We want that to have a small drop of tension in this area. Therefore, the gains of the transistor will be low, and you can configure it. In my case, when I did with one fan, I used 608 with one fan in load. If you want a little bit more current, you can go a little bit lower. When I put 2 fans in my option, I half it. So it means that I put 2 of those resistance in parallel to get at least 340 ohms. This reason that it will have a little bit more high current, and that's a high tension for supply for my fan a little bit faster speed. As well, you could potentially get a variable resistance that you can configure what's the best speed or best current for your case. But in this case, we're gonna leave as 608 with one fan and 340 with 2 fans on. Have this one in mind. Now we start to do our configuration. Before we start to do our configuration, we'll put here in the screen a small picture that I took for my system for you to understand what I assembled. In the first time, I assembled my system in a prot board because I want to test that everything is working, and as well for show you guys that's working. After I prove that everything is working and my configurations work well, then I can come back, I start to solder everything and do a little bit more tight. Have some options that you can buy with PCB and that run some specific applications, but I don't want to do it. Everything in mind. Now we're gonna open our put and start to do our configuration. Once that we open our put, the first thing that we need to do is update our system. So we're gonna run sudo apt-get-upgrade, and we're gonna update our system in order to have all the latest library, all the latest application. once that you finish to update your system, now you need to upgrade your system. For it, you're gonna put upgrade and run it. In my case, I just finished to upgrade all the systems, so they don't need to run so long. Have everything set and your system update and upgrade and everything is running okay. Now we're gonna create a folder. In my case, I will create in this location, but you can create any place that you want. In my case, I will create in home.py scripts because I want that to hold all my scripts there, and that's I will create. After I create, I need to enter in this folder. So I will run this follow step, cd home.py script. Now inside this folder, I will create a small Python application or Python script. This Python script can be any name, but because I'm using a fan, so we'll use nano fan.py and I run it. So in this case, now I can start to run our script. This script I did assemble, I find on the internet and it's quite good and work well. So I will use it. I'm not sure where I find it, but I'm sure that if you Google, maybe you're gonna find exactly the same, but at least I will explain how it's work. First of all, they will input the library or the pinout for our system from the GPI 0, and you are able to get a little bit more information if you access this website. After this one, they will define what's a control, what's a pin that they will configure. In my case, I configure it as a pin 21. If you want to configure any other pin, you feel free to do it, but remember, if you're gonna use the pin 26, you're gonna need here to put 26, but in our case, we're gonna leave as 21. After this one, they will do a read for your CPU temperature. It means that will be a cycle to read all the time your CPU temperature to be sure that they are running well. After this one, they will run this follow script. If the temperature is higher than 55 degrees, they will start the fan. Basically, the pin 21 will start to have attention there. And if it drop the temperature for 48 degrees, so the fan will be off. In this way, they will do this cycle. It means that all the time that arrive in 55, they will start and they will only turn off when arrive 48. And that will only turn on when arrive 55 to get this gap. To don't be look like 55 start and that drop 55 stop, and it's to avoid it. Have this one in mind, we can put Ctrl X and put yes and enter. Now have this script run. Now we need to test if we did this script right, if everything's okay. To do it, we can run this follow step, Python and the same location for a script. If you change the location or the name of the script, don't forget to change there, otherwise it will not work. Have this one, now we're gonna put enter and we're gonna check what information that the system will give me. In this case, they show the day, the hour, and what's the temperature that is running. In my case, it's running 46, 45, 46, 45. It means that it's a little bit warm, but it's not so warm. After this one, we can press Ctrl C to stop to run the script. Now we're gonna make that this script will run all the time that I start the computer, because I want that all the time that this system start, they will be run correctly. First thing, we need to enter as admin, because we're gonna create in this script in the root, and this one we need to have a root access. To do it, it's easy. We're gonna go to sudo su, and now we are as admin. After this one, we're gonna open the folder that we want to do. The folder that we want to access will be cd/etc/init.d, and we enter in this folder. Inside this folder, we're gonna create a service. The service that we're gonna create will be this one, nano fan service. You can create any service that you want, but in our case, we're gonna run nano fan service, and we put enter. Now we're gonna use this script here. Basically, this script is to make that all the time that your computer start, they will be checking the temperature, and validate that everything is okay and it's running. So we're gonna put this one. If you change your script position or place, don't forget to change it here and don't change it here. Otherwise, it will not locate and will not work well. Before you guys start to be worried, don't worry. All this script you can find the description, so you don't need to type it manually. You can only copy there, and it's quite easy. Have this one, we're gonna put Ctrl X and enter. And you want to do it? Yes, I want to save. Have this script saved. Now we need to change permissions for this folder. To change this permission is quite easy. You only do this follow step, chmod plus x, etc. and the location of the script. If you change the name of the service, please don't forget to change don't change the location of this service, otherwise it not work. It need to be in this location. So have this service run and everything, it's okay. Now we can run it, have the permission change. Now we need to restart our system, then we can start the fan service. So we're gonna run sudo systemctl daemon-reload. Once that is reload, now we can start our service. To start our service is quite easy. We're gonna do sudo service fan start. And wonderful, just start. How I know that this system is running? It's easy. I can come here and put sudo service fan status. And if appear active, it means that it's running and everything is okay. So what we can do, we can run this one only to check all the service that is running. And we run it, and they show all the service that is currently running my system. If I look here, fan service, it's running. To check if my system is running, I will do a stress test. First thing, we're gonna clear the page, clear, and we're gonna go out for any folder. Have this one, now we're gonna install the stress test. We're gonna do sudo apt-get install stress. And they will install the stress test. After I have the stress test installed, I will run this script to download all the library information for this one. After this one, I will install it. So I'll run this one, gcc, and I will install. After having installed, now I'm gonna run the stress test. You don't need to do this stress test because it's pointless. If your applications normally work and the script show as it starts, yes, it's working, but in our case, we're gonna run this stress test. In the same time that I'm gonna run this stress test, I will try to put my multimeter here for show what's gonna do in this system. What's the idea? I don't have any resistance in the system, so they will never be zero. If I go there and put a resistance, in this case, if I have a resistance, and add to my circuit the resistance, so now my system is zero. But I cannot live so long because this resistance is not rate for it and will burn. Basically because I don't have any load, they will never be zero. They will be something milliamperes, really low, but will not be zero. Only if I really have this resistance connected to the system or my fan connected to the system. In this case I don't have, so will not show anything. Have this one, now I will run my properly stress test. How it will work? They will start to stress my CPU with lots of application, and that's the temperature rise. Once that arrive in temperature for 55 degrees, they should start my fan. You're gonna see in the multimeter that they will have some kind of temperature there, and that's after they drop the temperature, they will stop my fan, or my multimeter will be zero, or basically this voltage there. First of all, let's clear my page to be able to see a little bit better, and let's run this script. This script, they will be running and make some stress tests. If you look my screen, I have a 46.2 degrees, so they just started to run the stress test, and you're gonna see 54.2, and soon the multimeter will show some tension. Now they just arrived in 55, in the next step they show 56.9, so my multimeter is 51, so it's running and it's working. So I will stop this script, and I will wait until they arrive in 48 degrees. Once that arrive lower than 48 degrees, I should see my multimeter with 0 volts, so at least some milliamperes running really low. And in this case, they will not have any load and my fan just stop to work. So let's wait a little bit until I can see my temperature drop. If you guys can see, my temperature just dropped for 47.2, and here my multimeter did just make 0. So I can tell that it's working the script. All the time that arrive over 55 they start, and all the time that drop under 48 they will stop. So guys, I hope that you like. In this way you can make a little bit more quiet your system, or at least your room if you have a Raspberry Pi, and in the same time you can control the temperature in a active way. You can have the fans that will refrigerate your system only when it's needed, not all the time. In this way you save electricity, that's not so much, but at least you save noise, and that will not disturb you and not reduce of life of the fan. If you like this video and think that it was interesting, don't forget to leave your like, subscribe for the channel, and see you next time. Bye.